What's up? This is Ross with Tactics Boardshop, here to help you choose a longboard freeride deck. So what is freeriding? Freeriding is a style that's very well defined by riding lots of hills and sliding your board a lot. You're going to be doing a lot of stand-up slides, 180s, switch slides, maybe slashing some driveways, drifting around corners, but you're also going to be blending a lot of styles of a lot of different riding, whether that's freestyle or downhill as well. So there's a lot of different boards that are really good for this style of riding, so let's jump into a few examples and what makes them good boards for freeriding. Generally for freeriding, because you are doing a fair amount of switch riding typically, you are going to want something that's symmetrical. Having a symmetrical board really helps because if you're doing a lot of 180s and riding switch, you're going to want a board that doesn't make you feel backwards when you are backwards. It's going to feel the same both ways, so when you're doing those switch maneuvers, which are a lot more difficult, your board isn't holding you back in any sort of way. Another main feature is you're going to want something fairly stiff. A little bit of flex is okay, but you're going to want something quite a bit stiffer than your average freestyle deck, because you're going to be going a little faster and you want something more stable. So typically like a 9-ply board, or a lot of boards now, the newer boards are going to have a composite of fiberglass and maple, because it's going to make it stiffer and a little bit lighter generally with the fiberglass, but not always. Also along with that, you're going to want kind of a medium wheelbase. Again, you're going to want a longer wheelbase than a typical freestyle deck, but somewhere between 20 and 30 inches is a pretty good general rule of thumb. But it's also really fun to freeride those small wheelbases as well. So keep your options open. Don't get too hung up on how big, what size these boards should be. A lot of people, especially more recently, are riding something that's more similar to your regular skateboard, that just is a little bit longer and a little bit wider, so you get more foot space there. And this is where you can really blend a lot of styles, more of a street style or freestyle style with it as you're going down hills. Nice, short, playful wheelbase. This is the Sector 9 Boudreaux 35. I really enjoy riding this board for all different types of riding. The other main feature with freeride decks is that they all tend to have some sort of pocket for your foot. And this is accomplished in quite a few different ways. And we'll start off with the Lanyard Switchblade, because this is a good example of a more traditional drop deck. It's going to be horizontally dropped all the way down. So what that does is that gets you a little lower to the ground. It's going to make you a little more stable, but what it does is it creates a great little pocket area for your foot, so you can wedge your foot in there. You always know where your foot is. Your feet don't get lost on the deck. And when you do slide, your foot is much less likely to slide around and get out of place and then get you into bad situations. Another option that this board has is the drop through mounting, and again, that's going to get you lower to the ground. It's going to get you a lower center of gravity, so it's more stable. But the biggest thing in the context of freeriding and sliding is that it's going to give you a lower leverage on the board, because that base plate sits on top. You're going to get more of a lateral leverage on your wheels and your trucks, so it's going to push out easier. It's not going to have as much grip, so you're not going to be able to grip around corners as well. But if you just want to spin around and do your stand-up slides, this is a really good option because it's going to be easier to push out. Great for a beginner for those reasons. Moving on to the Sector 9 Downhill Division Dojo. Again, has somewhat of a drop here, but it's very minimal, and it's what they call a radial drop. So it's arced like this, so it's more ergonomic for your foot. It acts more as a foot stop this way, so your front foot isn't going to be sliding backwards like that. I'm going to keep you in place, and it's going to just be a little more comfortable, I think, on your foot. Again, symmetrical deck with a little bit of a cutout and a wheel well here, so you're not getting wheel bite. Next up, another technically drop deck, but this is more of a micro drop. This is the Omen Bar fight. Again, it's a horizontal like the Switchblade, but it's very minimal right here. You can just see a little bit of an arc down there, just so it's a little bit of a geographic locator for your foot, again, like the other boards. And to help from your board slipping out, you have something to wedge your toe into there when you're doing your toe sides. Also with this board, it has rocker. So instead of camber like this, it's got rocker like this, like a banana. So it's another thing to just make you feel a little more comfortable. It helps lock you in, a little more ergonomic shape for the way that your body will sit on the board. To wrap things up, the key features that you want to be looking for a good freeride board are going to be your stiff construction, your symmetrical shape, and some sort of foot pockets. But again, there are a lot of people that ride very just flat planks for this sort of riding as well. So it's all up to personal preference and what you want to see in the board. With freeride and downhill, there's a lot of crossover with style. So a lot of people are going to be riding, you know, the same deck for both sorts of riding. Most freeride decks are good for downhill. Most downhill decks are also going to be good freeride decks as well. So there's a ton of different options out here. These are just 3 to choose from. So make sure you head over to tactics.com and check them all out.